That sucked. What is up, Finn fans? Game's still going on. There's about a minute 56 left in the game. Dolphins are down 30-17. The game's over. The game is over. The game has been over for a hot minute. We're going to talk about this. There's a lot we need to talk about. Obviously, I'm going to have a ton of videos and content for you guys. I also am going to do a video talking about the giveaway. So if you want to be part of the giveaway, I will also tag it in the top comment. I heard like 500 something you guys already signed up. It's crazy. Well, we'll look at stats. Again, there's still a minute 56 left in the game, but right now, Tua, 32 for 40, 330 yards, 2 touchdowns, 117.7 passer rating. I'm not putting a lot of blame on Tua for this loss. Could he have played better? Yeah, in some instances, he definitely could have played better, but I don't think he's the reason the Dolphins lost. There's a lot of other things, like the fact that we had 39 total rushing yards. Our leading carrier was Raheem Mostert, 5 carries for 19 yards. We had 0 run game. Our leading receiver, Jonnu Smith, 7 catches, 87 yards. Tyreek Hill, 6 for 83 in a touchdown. Devon Achane, 8 for 56 in a touchdown. We had a fumble. Malik Washington, that really hurt. Gave him 7 points off of that one. Our defense, 0 sacks, 0 interceptions. You look at the other side, Jordan Love, 21 for 28. He missed 7 passes, 274 yards, 2 touchdowns, 129.2 passer rating. They didn't run a lot on us. You know, they here and there, 19 carries for 43 yards, 2.3 yards a carry and a touchdown for Josh Jacobs. Chris Brooks, 3 carries, 28 yards. Jaden Reed, they had an end around for 23 yards. Like, they didn't break off big yards, so we kind of stopped the run there. But Tucker Kraft, their tight end, was just bullying us. 6 catches, 78 yards. Josh Jacobs, 4 for 74. Christian Watson, 2 for 67. They had 4 sacks on the day from Walker, from Enagbare, however you say his name, Van Ness, and Clark. There was a big problem. No fumbles, no interceptions. So again, there's a lot of blame that goes into this loss. It was a bad loss. You know, we all thought going into this game we'd be somewhat competitive. I think I picked us losing by like 8 to 3 points, not by 13 points. This team just didn't show up. And you have these narratives that you want to kill. Oh, we want to kill the narrative that we don't play well in the cold. We want to kill the narrative that we don't play well against good teams. We want to kill the narrative that we don't play well on prime time. We want to kill the narrative that this, and that. Well, you didn't kill any of them. And again, do you notice I'm saying team? Because, again, I don't necessarily put it all on Tua. Like I said, Tua could have done better in some instances, but he wasn't the problem. He wasn't the reason we lost. The offensive line sucked. Teron Armstead had his worst game of the year. Instant pressures, instant sacks. The run game was non-existent because, again, the offensive line sucked in this game. The defensive line went up against one of the best offensive lines in football in the Green Bay Packers, got no pressure on Jordan Love. He was able to sit back there and make throws left and right. There was miscommunication left and right. There was penalties, false starts, holding, just one after the other, offsides, just dumb penalties, bad tackling. Up until the first 3 quarters, we have missed 13 tackles for 75 yards. 13 tackles, and that was until the third quarter. I would say altogether in this game, we missed like 20-something tackles. But here's the thing. Going into this game, I knew that was going to happen. I told you guys when I made my prediction that the reason I have the Packers winning is because I don't think our defense would be able to stop their offense, especially with their running game. I was a little wrong. We stopped their running game for, the most part. But I was worried about the fact that can our offense consistently match what they are doing on their offensive drives? And, you look at the team stats. First downs, we had more first downs, 21 to their 19, but Yards were close. We had the one turnover. We had more first downs. We had more time of possession. Penalties. We had 10 penalties. They had 7. Sacks. We had 5 sacks. We had no sacks on them. It's like these were the important things that you needed to take care of against a better team. They made the plays. They got the calls. They did what they had to do. Whereas on the other side, we had instant pressures for sacks. We had guys going down with injuries. Our secondary got beat the flip up with Cam Smith being injured, Kader Kohu hurting his back, Kendall Fuller already being injured. Then they were targeting Storm Duck on a few passes. It was just a perfect storm of just us not ready to play a team like the Green Bay Packers. And again, if you're going to sit here and blame just Tua, I'm going to disagree with you. Because statistically, yes, he looks like he had a fantastic game, 36 for 45, 357 yards and 2 touchdowns and over 110 passer rating. Of course, he could have done better. I'm not saying he again, I'm going to say it again. He's not to blame, but he could have done better in some instances. But they're just not ready, man. This team is not ready. And if we do, all right, let me address this because I'll talk about this in tomorrow's video. Or maybe I'll talk about it after this weekend's games because right now, us losing kind of hurt. I've been talking to you guys about the playoffs, and yes, playoffs. I've been talking to you guys about the playoffs, especially after we went on a 3-game winning streak. If you guys remember, and girls, after the Bills game, I said the season was over, and I still stick with that. And every time I would talk about the playoffs and what needed to happen and who we needed to be and yada, yada, blah, 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 I consistently reminded you that I don't think it'll happen. I don't think we'll make the playoffs. And it's just, if we did make the playoffs, which, again, I don't see it happening, you're going to go up against teams like the Green Bay Packers. And you're going to have to go on the road in the cold. Now, is the cold the reason we played like we did? I think in some instances it is. I think the missed tackles had a lot to do with the cold. I think some of Tua's passes being off had to do with the cold. I think some of the drops had to do with the cold. I think the muffed punt had to do with the cold. I think a lot of the mental aspect of it had to do with the cold. But there was also an undisciplined, some of the delay of games, some of the penalties, some of the other stuff that is coaching and getting your guys ready. And, it's a short week, but the Packers had a short week as well. So it's a hot mess express right now. We have the Jets, then we have the Texans, then we have the 49ers. The next 3 games aren't as scary. And I said this before we played this Packers game, is that the Packers are the best team we're going to face for the last stretch of this game, for this season, because we play the Packers in their, we play the Texans in their dome, different world. We're home for the 49ers. They are banged up. We have the Cleveland Browns. We're not winning that game. I thought if they can come out and be competitive in this game and at least make it a fight, that we would have a chance against Cleveland. No. I don't know what it is with the cold. It's a stupid narrative. And you look at the aspect of the game and be like, how would the cold affect that? But it is, and it does, and I can't explain it. I can explain in the aspect of the missed tackles and the muff punts and stuff, but outside of that, it's like, it's a mental aspect of it, and it just seems they're not ready. But we play the Jets twice, and they have mentally checked out. We'll see how they do against Seattle. If they lose against Seattle, then yes, they definitely mentally checked out. The Dolphins need to win the rest of the games if they want a chance to make the playoffs. You got to go 10-7. Will they? I'll talk about that tomorrow. But this was a bad game. And you look at it statistically, and that's why sometimes looking at stats is very misleading. You look at time of possession, we had more time of possession. You look at yardage, we were off by like 21 yards. We had more first downs and all that stuff, but a lot of that came at a point where we were down 11-27. You know what I'm saying? A lot of it came down to a point where they're just playing prevent defense. So, when it mattered in the first half, we weren't playing good football. We weren't playing good football on either sides of the ball. Going into halftime down 24-3 is not going to help you. It just is what it is. Our first half stats and play was garbage. And that's what lost us this game. Because in the second half, yeah, our defense, you held them to 6 points, but it didn't matter because our offense only scored 13. No, sorry, 12. 14. I'm like looking at it, trying to do the math. It's just not it. I have to watch the film. Again, I'm not going to sit here and put all the blame on Tua, even though a lot of people want to say, like, oh, Tua is 0-4 in cold weather games. It's not all his fault. Some of it is, and I'm not, exonerating him. But to sit here and put this loss on Tua is just, it's not true. But he's not the type of quarterback that we would have needed to win the game, if that makes any sense. Our offensive line played like hot trash, and to have him do the things that he needed to do to lift the team there's 3 quarterbacks in the NFL that can do it. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. I don't think C.J. Stroud would have won this game for the Dolphins. I don't think Joe Burrow would have won this game for the Dolphins, especially with the way that our offensive line was playing. I don't think Justin Herbert might have made it closer, but I think he would have been getting sacked left and right, especially with the defense not making any stops really in the first half. There's a ton of quarterbacks that, middle tier, not top echelon quarterbacks that would have struggled because of how bad the offensive line played. But Tua's just not that. He's not that style of quarterback. He is a pocket passer. But the team knows this. The team knows this. Chris Grier knows this. You build a team. If you know you have a pocket passer of a quarterback, you build your team around that pocket passer. What did they do with Peyton Manning? And what did they do with Tom Brady? They consistently put very good offensive lines in front of them. Because they're pocket passers. They're not going to be rolling out. They're not going to be running for their lives. They're going to carve you up. But this is all the stuff I'm going to talk about because, again, this really puts the nail in it. But I could see them winning the next 3. Thinking they can't win the next 3, I could definitely see it. You're home. You're in a dome. You're home. Okay, you win the next 3. You go 8-7. Fantastic. I don't see them winning one of the next 2 after that. It's too cold. It's a stupid narrative. I understand and I agree. But for some reason, this team with these players, with this mindset, whether it's weak or whatever, cannot do it in that cold. They just can't. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Some of the play calling was bad too. There's a lot that we have to dissect. But that is for tomorrow. I want to thank everyone for hanging out on the live stream on Thanksgiving night. You guys were awesome and amazing. Everyone who donated, hung out, commented, love you all. Everyone watching this late Thanksgiving night, love you. You're amazing, beautiful human beings. I will see you tomorrow. Film breakdown might be out Saturday. But enjoy your weekend if you have off. If not, hopefully it's a short Friday for you. If you work in retail, I feel you. I worked in Best Buy. Black Friday sucks. But yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. It sucked. It looks like it was better than it was, especially statistically. It wasn't. It sucked. The game was over in the middle of the third quarter. But like usual, stay classy. Fins up.